everyone, welcome to RV Entrepreneur. My name is Kevin. I'm going to show you how to run business out of an RV. If you're following along on some of our other channels, which I hope you are, my family sold our house this year, moved into a 41-foot Keystone, Montana 3855 BR, and we're traveling the country with our nonprofit called Hug Your People. Please go check out that channel. I'll put the link below. And so we live here and I work here and I run my business. So this channel is devoted to how do you run business and make money from the road, which I know is a burning question for a lot of people. I haven't set my office up yet, so I'm going to go over my office setup and everything that goes into that, so you'll get a sense of the gear that I use to run a business out of an RV. So let's get to it. So when we pull up, we get set up. This is our RV. The BR in the model name stands for Bunk Room, and this is a little bunk room. It's a small bunk room, but I use it as an office. It'll be dark for just a minute. Let me get the lights on. So there's the lights. So you can see it's kind of just a small little office. So I'm going to go over how I set up, but first a couple of things. One, the chair. You'll see that down here it's got these little brackets. So that bracket comes up, that holds the chair in place while we're in motion. And that way you don't have a mess. I do have monitors. This couch pulls out to a bed. I put my monitors face down on that. That kind of helps me not worry about them. So let's talk about the setup. I did pull my laptop out last night to do a little work, so I'll just go ahead and close that. So that's normally not here. So this is the desk where I set everything up. And so here's what I've done. So it didn't come with any of this stuff. So I wanted to hang two monitors because I'm on video all day and I'm taking notes on my computer, and my laptop just wasn't enough monitor space. So I took a couple of 2x4s, cut them down, and I Gorilla Glued them to the walls. These walls, they're very thin, so they're not going to support the weight of a monitor, much less two monitors. So I got these 2x4s, Gorilla Glued them to the wall. I haven't had to use any screws or any anchoring outside the Gorilla Glue yet, and it's been about 8 weeks. So I feel like that's a pretty good spot. And then I got this, I'm not going to use brand names because I'm not endorsing brand names, but it's a dual monitor arm, and it screws into the 2x4s down at the bottom. It's sitting on the desk. That way I didn't have to drill through the desk, and it'll hold the monitors on that. They do tilt up and down as I need. So that's kind of what I use. So you notice I put a power strip up here. One of the reasons for that is I don't like cables on the desk, and so I wanted to try to put all the cables in the back. And here's another thing I did. This is actually a spice rack made for kitchens, but I've got two of them, and I've used them to hold the cables, the cords off the desk. So I've got one there, and I've got one over here. This one holds this is my webcam, a USB extension, some hard drives, some cables, anything like that. So that's kind of the bare setup that I use. I didn't bring a keyboard. I used my laptop. So what I'll do now is I will set up my desk and let you see kind of the setup that I have. So, okay, so I've got the monitors all set up. You can see them behind me. So I've got one going horizontal. My laptop is actually there in the back with the webcam on top, so it kind of shoots in between the screens. And I put the left monitor going vertical to save space. My son uses this space as a gaming station. So that's my office setup. That's kind of how it looks. A couple other things that I did mention is I do have the microphone. It clamps onto the desk down here and kind of comes up like that. And I do have a sound bar there as well. So I've got sound coming out of here. This is picking up my voice. I've got my webcam there, and I've got it's basically a 3-monitor setup with the laptop, but I opted not to bring an external keyboard so that I can use the trackpad, the mouse track on the laptop, and actually have the desktop. So I do have 3 screens on here. So that's kind of how I set up. That's kind of how I set up my workspace. Other things that I've done in this office, you saw the storage. There is a file storage there, just a simple file storage. I do have plenty of storage up here as well for office things, but that's pretty much it. I've got some drawers down here that have wireless headphones and things like that. One other thing that I did, because the lights in here, so I did add some LED lights. That was mainly for me and my son, but when I don't want it quite this bright, I can kind of turn it off like that. And so for certain videos, that works all right, but it kind of just gives a different kind of lighting in here, which I really like. So the room itself is probably, I don't know, 6 by 6 maybe. It does have a window. Sun is kind of out today here in Virginia. So that's that. A couple other things that I did, so I'll just have a seat on the couch. We do use a hotspot for our Wi-Fi connection. I'm not going to get too deep into Wi-Fi right now because that's a whole nother beast. And really, it's something we're still kind of not struggling. We're struggling with a little bit. But so we've got an AT&T hotspot right now. We use my network, unlimited for data. We use a lot of data in our household between my work and gaming and TV and phones and iPads and everything else. So we're using that right now. Our rig was equipped with the WineGuard 360. On top, we will get another hotspot for that with a different carrier, probably Verizon. And then in here, I've got a fin that's going up with a different router. So I think once we get that set up, that'll kind of have our Wi-Fi. I'll make another video about that, but that's kind of my setup for the office in here. I'll give you a quick rundown and show what's going on. I do have a 27-inch iMac that I don't really use. When we're in transit, it stays on the bed in the bedroom face down, so it doesn't slide or anything like that. The monitors come off the wall, but it's a real quick setup. It took me 3 or 4 minutes to set it up and to break it down. So that's kind of how I use it. I stay in this room. Another tip that I'll give you if you are using a bunkhouse as an office, the doors don't always go to the ground. So here's what you do. Let me pull these doors back a little bit. So if you can see, the doors, when you close them, they don't always go to the ground. In fact, they never go to the ground. So what I did is I bought a piece of foam. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's the perfect size. So the foam goes right there, and now I shut the door, and you can't see underneath. The only reason I did that was for sound, because when I'm in here on my calls, I'm a business coach, and so when I'm in here on my calls and my wife and son want to get on with their life and they don't want to have to feel restricted, especially if it's raining. So so that just keeps the sound in here and the sound out there. Just kind of separates a little bit. So that's my setup. Yeah, this is a Keystone, Montana 3855BR. This is the bunk room. This couch does pull out into a bed if you have guests over. You can use it for that, but we use it as a gaming room for my son and an office for me most of the time. I do work 3 days a week. It's a full-time gig. I run my business out of here. I've been running it out of here for 8 weeks. No glitches, no problems. And that's that. If you have any questions, hit the comments below. I'm always here to help. I'm learning just as you are, but I have figured a few things out. If you're getting into really work on the road, working in the RV, these are things that I've learned that I've helped you, and I'm still figuring a whole lot out. So if you got any tips for me, make sure you put them down below. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You know the drill. And this is RV Entrepreneur. We're going to come at you hopefully every week and give you some good tips and some good stories from working on the road as my family travels around visiting kids who are fighting cancer with our nonprofit called Hug Your People. Jump over to the Hug Your People site. We're going to do weekly videos out of that. Get on Facebook, follow Hug Your People. We're really trying to do some good work with these kids, and so we really appreciate it, and that's why we're living in an RV, and we kind of enjoy it. It's kind of nice. So hope you have a great day. This is Kevin. See you next time.